C3, Connecting Coaches Cognition. It's time to get some coaching for the coach. Welcome back to another episode of C3. I'm Courtney Groskin, and I'm here with
Sandy Heiser.
Sandy, happy 2026. How was your break?
Oh man, happy New Year. It was a great break. We had a little week in Telluride and got the dogs outside. Did a little playtime outside. Daisy was a maniac.
As always.
As always, yes. True story.
Telluride, so fancy.
So fancy, yes. It was great. And then now we're right back in it. You and I have day 6 cognitive coaching this month. You've got something coming up in February?
Yes, we have our big AI summit with Dr. Catlin Tucker on February 21st at Skyline High School.
Yes.
Hopefully everyone's almost done registering. We've had a huge turnout and I'm super excited for that to happen next month.
Yes, I'm really hoping the Falcons registered big time. We made a big push for it at our staff meeting.
Oh, I love it. Love the support for my Falcons there. We're so lucky to have Tori Fitka with us today. She's a former classroom teacher turned community coach at SchoolAI, where she supports educators in using AI and technology to create better learning experiences for students. After spending years teaching high school science and coaching teachers on digital learning, Tori now works alongside districts and educators nationwide to bring blended learning and AI literacy to life in meaningful ways. She is passionate about changing the landscape of education through innovation that actually makes a difference, not just using technology because it's available, but using it intentionally to support students, empower teachers, and improve learning outcomes. At the heart of her work is a belief that great learning experiences come from thoughtful design, strong relationships, and tools that serve a real purpose. Tori, welcome to C3. We're so glad to have you today.
Thank you for having me. Excited to be here.
And just to brag on you for a minute, Tori was just named Community Coach of the Year for 2025 with SchoolAI.
Thank you. It was honestly a pretty big shock for me. I work with some extremely talented people, so I felt very honored to be selected for that. So thank you.
Yeah, I've got to experience your firsthand rock stardom, so I'm not surprised.
Oh, thank you.
Yes, rave reviews.
Thanks.
So can you just tell us a little bit about yourself and how your journey ended up at SchoolAI now?
Sure. Well, so I started off in the classroom being a high school science teacher. I've taught almost every single course possible for a secondary science teaching position. Aside from physics, they tried to put me in a physics classroom a couple times, and I told them that would be a pretty big disservice to students. So thankfully, I've avoided that one. But yeah, I loved science. I loved doing all the hands-on activities and using technology in fun ways. And so that kind of led to me becoming a technology coach. I worked at a pretty big school district in northern Dallas area. And I was a tech coach for a few years, right when AI kind of like blew up. And so I had so much fun showing teachers how to use it meaningfully in the classroom, and it like ignited this new passion for me. Because I'd always been passionate about educational technology, but this just like blew it out of the water. And SchoolAI was one of the companies that were platforms that I was using that I really enjoyed. I liked how it gave students a really unique opportunity to use AI in a safe way, but also have really cool context or different ways of like learning. And so I essentially begged them for a job back in January, and here we are. So it worked. But yeah, super excited to be here. I'm a community coach now. So my whole job is to do professional development and training of SchoolAI to all of our partners, such as St. Brain, and just go to conferences and be like the voice of the platform of how to use it and like best practices for the platform.
Yeah, many of our listeners might have gotten to work with you at our Teach to Reach conference.
Yes. Yeah, that was back in August, right?
Yeah.
That was fun. That was a good time.
So SchoolAI is designed to support educators in meaningful and efficient ways. From your perspective, what does it look like when AI tools truly enhance, not replace the human side of teaching and coaching?
Yeah, I think that that's such an important thing to think about when you are using AI. It's like, AI is not here to replace you. It's here to support you. And so for me, I really think that AI should be used to help you create something new. Not just like speed up what we've already done. So yes, using AI for productivity, big time saver for sure. But you can really like level up your career, I think. Like it can really level you up as an educator. So when it's used well, it can really enable learning experiences. If you're a coach, enable your coaching moves and really boost those in ways that weren't possible before. So if you're using AI in the classroom, that could look like maybe redesigning your instruction. It could be focusing on personalized learning or even giving students new ways of engaging. And then when I think about coaching, I think about like I said earlier, leveling up what you are really doing. So, you can upload data and you can say, I'm not sure what to do from this point. And it can give you suggestions and tips on how to like either help teachers that you work with, or it can help you with, like what to do in the classroom. If you have a classroom management issue, for example, yes, time saving is important when you use AI, but the whole reason why you would want to do things like that is to get back time that matters most, which is having good relationships with your students and coaching other teachers, supporting your entire campus, whatever that may be. So when teachers aren't buried in logistics and like all those like tasks that you have to do, those coaching conversations are going to get a lot more deeper, more reflective, and you can make a bigger impact overall. Do the things that you like to do versus all those little tasks.
Oh my gosh, Tori, I love that so much because you may know Courtney and I spend a lot of time coaching teachers, and we're really interested in the coaching aspects, the coaching possibilities with AI. And I love that you talked about just a second ago, leveling up or elevating your practice as an educator, because one question we wanted to ask you was just one of our goals in coaching is to promote reflection for teachers and all educators and metacognition. So how have you seen SchoolAI support educators in becoming more reflective about their instructional choices?
Yeah, that's such a great question. There is a part of our platform called assistants. And I feel like it's one of our most underutilized parts of the platform, but it's one of my favorites. Primarily because I think reflection in general is one of those things that often gets skipped because you don't have enough time to sit down and reflect on your practices, right? So I love using assistants. We have a lot of different options. There's a co-teacher assistant that would probably be my top choice. But you can go into this assistant and essentially have a conversation to reflect on what you've been doing. So you can say, here's this lesson plan that kind of fell flat. Like, I don't really know what to do from here. How do I hook students? Or it could just be about anything in general. I want to get better at this skill of teaching. How should I do that? And then the assistant is going to provide you with ideas and suggestions. So it makes the reflection process a lot more accessible and something that can be an ongoing process in your day-to-day. If using an assistant becomes part of your routine, it really like embeds that in. So like I said, a teacher can upload a lesson plan. They can upload an assessment, student work, or even just talk through an idea that they're trying to work through. And what's really powerful is that the assistant isn't just going to give them an answer. So, if they uploaded an assessment and said, give me the data on this, it's not just going to give you a data analysis. It's also going to listen to the context of the problem and then respond with suggestions and follow-ups. So you can upload it and be like, analyze the data, and then it's going to give you that. And then underneath, it's like, have you considered XYZ? Have you considered maybe doing a station rotation would be really powerful to hit the main misconceptions that the students are having based off of that assessment. Have you considered maybe like your next bell ringer should be focused on this one specific standard that they're struggling with? And so it gives you those suggestions. And it's something that I feel like it's just kind of ingrained into the assistants, right? So yeah, I really like that because I'm constantly seeing ideas that I hadn't thought of before. I wish I had that when I was in the classroom, so I could say, I'm doing this science lab and I remember last year it was not engaging. How do I make sure that they're engaged? Like, what are some real world applications, and it's going to come up with different ideas for me. So I really like it for that. And that can also give you like next step suggestions. And just if you want it to, you can almost prompt it to like ask you reflection questions after an activity as well. So over time, those conversations are going to build stronger instructional habits because if teachers are consistently reflecting, revising, and improving their practice, it's just, it's all one big good solution or practice in general.
I just love that because in a perfect world, every teacher would have access to a coach all the time, but we know it's not really that way. And what a nice resource for teachers to be able to, like you said, or if it's something where they're not in a place where they want to talk to a person-to-person coach, that's such a just instant assistant, like you said.
You can also make a space as a coach where you can make it like a reflection space for your teachers and you would push it out to them and then you can see what their reflections are. So if you guys do like one-on-one coaching scenarios, you can do that and then you can see, okay, this teacher is struggling with this, and then you can prepare better for those one-on-one coaching moments. So that's another great way to do that.
Yeah, and I'm going to shout out Deanna Dykstra at Longmont High School, who built a reflecting space for her mid-year evaluation. So before the teachers came to her for the mid-year, she pushed out a space to them so they could kind of reflect and think before that meeting. And then she got to engage in really deep reflections. And then I have a dean, Sarah Caniglio, out at Centennial, and she uses a reflection space every Monday morning to start out her week. And she goes in and has a coaching conversation about the prior week and kind of reflects on what went well, what things she might want to change for the week moving forward. And that's how she's been framing her week.
I love that. That's such a great idea. Is she using that in assistance or does she have a space just for that?
No, she tailored a space with all of our cognitive coaching notes and things she took advanced this summer. So she built out and personalized the space to meet her needs.
Good for her. That is such a great idea. I'm going to have to take that back to the team.
As teachers begin experimenting with AI in their classroom, what kinds of support or professional learning have you found most effective in helping them move from curiosity to confident with purposeful use?
I really think that like hands-on professional learning is the way to go. Like, you think about best practices in the classroom, it's getting students using it. It's the same thing for teachers. So, giving them access and time to explore and experiment, I think is like the best way to do that. I read this quote somewhere and I like wrote it down as like a general note for this, but it just says like curiosity turns into confidence when teachers have like experience, and when they have time to experience, and that will lead to a quicker success rate, right? So like they might be curious, but maybe a little bit scared of like, oh, I don't want to mess up. Like, what if it's a waste of time because it ends up not turning out how I want it to? But if you give them that time to explore, you have leaders, whether it's at your school or like for example, me, who's able to almost hold their hands along the way and help them like build alongside them. That goes a really long way, and it hopefully removes that fear barrier so that they can take risks, just like we want students to do. So I would say that for sure, hands-on. The second example that I would say for like experimenting with AI in the classroom is when they're getting training on this, is to have very specific use case examples. I could go in and I can explain how to use a platform, but if you don't understand what that looks like in your room, it's not going to be as successful. So I think about, again, I'm going to use a science example because that's just my background. If we are talking about a science lab, what are the different ways that AI can be used before, during, and after? And I would showcase all of those different ways. So, it can be used to help them write a hypothesis. It can be used to help them analyze data and do a conclusion sentence, and then help them with sentence structure and how to write properly. Lots of different options. It could even be a scenario of the lab before they get in to make sure that they understand the process of the lab. And that can be used in a ton of different courses, any sort of hands-on activity or project-based activity. You can utilize those general ideas. With writing also, like I feel like this can be covered in really any class. Showing them how AI can support during the planning process, drafting, feedback, revision, or even just like brainstorming topics. It doesn't have to be something where they're writing their paper in AI, but if you're more comfortable with helping them brainstorm topics or, proofread their first draft, little bite-sized pieces and different ways of utilizing it for that. But overall, like if teachers can see a concrete and like specific example that reaches what they teach, I think that's also going to add to that confidence growing quickly.
Definitely. I'm hearing a lot of intentionality of them having time to think about what they want to use AI to enhance and then being intentional about the use and starting there and pulling that forward.
Yeah, for sure.
Tori, as schools pilot and expand their use of AI tools, what patterns or success stories have stood out to you that show how AI can build capacity rather than add to teachers' workload?
Yeah. I feel like our conversation is flowing so well because Courtney just said intentional. And I'm like, that's literally what I want to say for this is like rolling out anything new, AI specifically, is like you need to be really intentional with it. And it has to be something that is ongoing, So I went to St. Brain back in August and, we talk about SchoolAI back then. And it's like, I see you guys online and all of the great things that you are doing with your ethos platform of just like bringing that up over and over and over again, but intentionally. So it's not just a present at the beginning of the year and then just hope that that information sticks. You are constantly bringing it back up to say, hey, this is important and this is why it's important. So you're being really intentional with it and saying like, these are our goals and this is the purpose behind it. And giving everyone time to, utilize it and explore it and ask questions and, just really test it out. And I think that that's like the main goal with any sort of rollout. If they feel confident and supported in whatever that initiative is, their capacity of using it is going to increase, whether that's SchoolAI or like an AI policy for your district, right? So that's the main thing. Checking in often with them to make sure that they are confident and they don't have concerns is really big. And I've already said like repetition and reinforcement, that's super important. But the other really big thing is just teacher feedback. Like, especially if you're rolling out a new platform, ask for feedback. How are they liking it? What struggles do they have? What are the successes? And so celebrate them often with the great things that they're doing. Like you guys were sharing some wonderful use cases earlier. So like celebrate that. But then if there are concerns, address those, make sure that they're feeling seen and it's not just like something that's being forced on them, right? Because obviously we see value in what it is, but someone might not, and they need to see the light, I guess, of why it's important and how it can be used for them. So yeah, it's like, I feel like it's a slow and steady rollout. You just keep being consistent and open, and then that will take you a very long way.
Yeah, we talk about the AI switch. Like just because we're introducing AI, it doesn't need to be on all the time. So it's learning how to pick and choose when it's the right time to use it. And it's okay if it doesn't turn out the way you wanted it to. Not all lessons do. And then how do I go back and refine and reflect and move forward with it?
Yeah, it's a constant growing process. And like you said, it's not going to be perfect the first time, but as long as you like persevere and you keep trying, like there's only success in your future,
Yeah, definitely. So I'm going to ask you to pull out your crystal ball here. Looking ahead, what do you see as the next frontier for AI in education, and how can instructional coaches help bridge the gap between innovation and classroom practice?
Yeah, I think that the next big thing is more of like a classroom innovation. I think right now, obviously it varies from teacher to teacher and district to district, but I think right now the main push with AI is still teacher productivity, like having it create lesson plans, worksheets, translating emails and stuff like that. And I think that's where we are right now. But I am starting to see a shift in people being like, okay, like I've mastered that. Like what's next? And so they're really trying to look at how can I redefine what AI looks like in the classroom. I'm seeing a lot more push towards AI literacy and using AI in the best way possible, not just for the teachers, but obviously for the students of like, what's the best way to use this and why is it important to learn these AI literacy skills when you go to college and university and all of that. But really like, I think about the SAMR model and how I feel like a lot of people right now are kind of at that substitution, like we're substituting AI to create worksheets, to create these different products or documents for us. But there's that shift towards modification and redefinition. So how can we redefine what the classroom looks like and what does that look like? Using it as maybe students are having an immersive exploration into a different topics. Maybe they are simulating a historical time period where they're learning and interviewing people going back in time, or they're interviewing experts in a field as they are exploring different careers. These are all things that if it wasn't for AI, they would not have had that experience beforehand. So that's kind of where I see that shift going on a more like up and coming time period, not like 10 years in the future, but right now. There's that saying that everyone is probably sick of hearing, but it's like we need to prepare our students for careers that we don't even know what they are yet, right? So to me, it's like, let's focus on AI literacy and teach them like what's the best use case of AI, but also have them explore it in unique ways so that they can learn what AI is possible to do. So I think coaches should be the leaders on this. They need to be leaders and have complete understanding of AI literacy and be able to explain that to their teachers and help them and students like learn the best ways to use it. What are the limitations? What ethical considerations need to be thought about? Because I think if they deeply understand AI and everything that encompasses AI, then that can then be aligned to your district's pedagogy, equity, learning goals, rather than it just being like a novelty tool that's used for right now and then pushed to the side. Focus stays on learning outcomes and not just AI being used because it's new and flashy.
I'm starting to see it a little bit with, like you said, that transition from productivity uses to some of the hardest questions we've wrestled with for a long time, like here's the task, here's my objective. How do I differentiate it for a class of 30 kids with the following needs and variations, and AI being really helpful in that way. And so I feel like we are seeing that evolution for teachers.
Yeah. And like I think about like spaces with SchoolAI, like how before AI was a thing, you would ask a question to the class and you would get a couple people put their hands up, right? But the 25 other students who aren't answering, like you don't know what their level of understanding is. But with a SchoolAI space, when you're looking at it as the teacher, you can see every single student's answer. So you immediately know where 100% of your students are in that moment, and then you can adjust as needed. And I think that is such a wild thing to think about like the immediate impact you can make as a teacher. Like in that moment, oh, we did not understand that. Let's pause and let's go over it in a different way. Like that's so valuable.
Things we could have only dreamed of when I started teaching 23 years ago are now in our classrooms and accessible to us.
Yeah.
So we're going to move to the rapid fire portion. There's no stopwatch or anything, but we like to say in about 10 seconds or less, what's one strategy every coach should have in their back pocket?
I feel like this isn't like AI specific, but tech specific. You need to be able to teach educators how to clearly define their goals, the context, and constraints. So when you are using AI, it can be there to support your thinking and not replace it. So really be your thought partner in that process.
I love that. If you had 60 seconds with a new teacher, what's one thing you'd tell them?
Do not reinvent the wheel. That is the fastest way to burnout. when it comes to using AI, again, use it as that thought partner. So upload your lesson plans to be like, I don't understand this. Explain it to me like I've never taught before. Focus on learning, growing, and connecting with students, and then everything else will fall in place after that.
Where can we learn more from you?
The SchoolAI community is the best place. So once you're logged into SchoolAI, you can click community up on the top. We have a ton of different trainings on there that are free for all of you guys to join. There's even asynchronous trainings. Feel free to leave a comment on the main discussion board. Would love to see that you are in the community from listening to this podcast.
Well, we appreciate you coming on today and giving us your time and your thoughtfulness with your answers.
Yeah, it was great to be here. Thank you so much for reaching out.
Thanks, Tori.
Thank you.
It was wonderful to get to talk with Tori about AI and coaching. How might you start to use AI in some of your lessons and be intentional about it? Thanks for listening to another episode of C3. Be sure to follow us on social media. C3, connecting, coaches, cognition. Whose thinking will you mediate today?